So we're back at it yet again. Let's run it. As we can see, the drag and drop is still not perfect. It's still pretty chaotic. And it turns out that it's actually really hard to put a unique script upon each instance of these pieces. Hopefully that makes sense. Each one of these pieces needs its own script, and we need to write in this script a script that puts unique scripts on each one of these. That being said, that's a little too advanced right now, okay? Because we just started using Godot, and I'd like to get a little bit more comfortable at it before we go crazy. So what we're going to do today is we're going to put checkers on the back burner, okay? We're going to come back to checkers later, and we're going to start a new project. We'll go over here to quit to project list. All right, we'll go to the project manager right here, and let's make a new one. Let's create one, and this one's going to be, and actually, you know what? Let's go refresh our memories about the 2D game that we made already. All right, so let's go to 2D game, and let's run this. Let's push F5, and remember we did dodge the creeps. Let's start it, and we can go, and we can see we can. 1 second. 1 second. You see we can touch the boundaries. We're not going anywhere past that, and we collide into stuff, and we can move up, down, left, right on the screen. So it's perfect for like a top-down style game, right? So let's get out of this, and so with that little bit of inspiration, let's make a top-down RPG. Let's go back to project, quit to project list one more time. Let's come over here to, let's create, and let's say, code, you say whatever you want in here. I'm going to put code man S first, game from scratch, Codeman S's first game from scratch. Create. All right. So there we are. So here we are on this right here. We're going to make a 2D game. So let's get out of 3D. And here we are. So from the other one, we remember, first thing we got to do when we start this thing up is make a player scene, right? So we've already got this scene up. Let's make a player. What's the guy called? Let's make a player node, right? So let's say Control A inside of this thing. Let's say Control A, and let's do, what was it? A character body 3D. So CHA will get us character body 2D right there. Press enter, and we remember we have to have both the sprite 2D and the collision body for this. All right, so let's start off with the sprite 2D. Let's say, no, we don't have to type anything. We can just drag this icon SVG, because that's what we'll just use this as a placeholder for now, up to character body 2D. And what? Maybe not. Actually, let's do Control A. Let's say sprite SP for sprite 2D. Will sprite just, okay, well, S will get us to sprite 2D. Let's do that, and then let's drag icon SVG up into sprite 2D, and boom, we got that. So now all we got to do is the collision thing. So let's highlight character body 2D again, press A, we'll say COLL, and that'll give us collision shape 2D. And then we got to, next thing we got to do is make the shape for collision body, all right? So we'll come over here to shape, where it says empty, and we will make a new rectangle shape. Boom, just like that. And so we'll get one of the corners, doesn't matter which one, and drag it to its corresponding corner. We'll get the other one and do the same thing. All right, we've got that. Let's highlight character body 2D, group it for now, bring the thing all the way to the middle so we can just zoom in on it. Let's ungroup it so we can deal with this thing, the collision shape. Let's zoom in on it with a little control plus or mouse wheel, whatever you want. Get this nice and in the middle, and let's cover the whole thing pixel for pixel. All right, just like that, just like that, and then this last one just like that. All right, so now we've got a fully covered one. Let's highlight character body 2D one more time and then group it up, and let's rename character body 2D to player. Enter. So now we've got that, and let's do a control S to save this thing, and let's save it as player.textScene. Save it. Actually, let's undo that. No. Let's redo that. Let's right click inside of this little file system thing. Let's say new folder. Let's call this folder scenes. Enter. And let's drag player.textScene into scenes right there. And now we've got that. So let's zoom out on this thing. However, just like that, let's just drop it right in the middle, right like that. And now let's work on the background. All right. So for the background, let's add another scene just like this. Actually, let's run this thing for now. Let's do a F6 to run the thing. And we can see it throws the Godot symbol right in the middle. Boom. All right. So let's add a new scene. So we don't need to go up to scene, new scene. We can just add it right here with this plus. And so now we're going to do a background. So for the background, let's do a control A in here. Let's get rid of this call and let's go search for this thing. So we're going to need to use a control node to start with. All right. And let's go down here and we'll use this TextureRect right here. So we're going to make a texture rectangle, all right? Instead of like a 2D sprite, we're actually going to make a texture rectangle. Let's create that. And so we've got TextureRect right here. So we don't have anything to put in there right now, but now that I'm remembering, we also have to switch up this, what is this thing called? Viewport. All right. So let's go over here to project. Let's go to project settings. Let's say window and something easy to remember like 1280 by 720. Normal dimensions for 720p. All right. So now that we've got that, close it up. We've got this. That's the size of this right here. And so now let's go over to Photoshop, or if you, whatever, I mean, you could even go use MS Paint if you wanted, but I'm going to use Photoshop. We could use MS Paint, actually. But we're going to use, we could use MS Paint, actually, for this, for at least this first part. But we're going to use Photoshop. So let's go over to the new file. Let's switch the width up to 720. Pardon me, not 720, 1280. 1280. Let's go down here to height and make it 720 like that. We can keep it black like that. Enter. All right. So now we've got this going on right here. So this background is going to be locked. We can't do anything with it right now. So let's unlock it by clicking the lock and then double clicking this thing right here. Don't click the letters or it'll want you to rename it. Click outside of it like over here. So now that we got that, let's throw a gradient on top of it. So here's the default gradient of white on this end and gray. If we click this, we can see the color over here is 6F white. And then over here, it's going to be D7 gray. All right. So let's change up the D7 gray, make it a little more dark, maybe right there. A5 gray. Let's copy that. Let's say, okay, let's come over here to this white side, get the color. Let's drop the A5 gray and let's bring it down. I guess 7F gray. Yeah, that's not too dark. All right. So let's say okay on that. So now, since we're trying to be professionals here, let's add a third color in the middle, just to give it a little whatever, you know. Let's click it. Pardon me. Let's click the color right here, and let's change it up to something else, a little more in between 7F and whatever the other one was. So let's put it right like that, and we can see it's a little bit lighter in the middle. And that looks good for me, because what we're trying to do here is, man, we're not trying to do any of this. Cancel, cancel. All we need is this color right here. Hold on. Can we go back to the gradient? All right. Well, let's forget about the gradient for right now. We'll do the gradient in like 10 minutes or 5 minutes, however long this takes. All right. So let's get this one. We've got this right here. Let's say File, Export, Quick Export as PNG. Let's go to where we are, and this thing is Codeman S's first game from scratch. Let's say let's do a backgrounds, new folder. Let's say Art, Assets. All right, go into here, and let's say let's just say black background for this. Black background. All right, enter. And now we've got this black background. We can come over here to Godot, and we can see we have the art assets right here. We can go inside of this and get the black background. And the thing about the TextureRect is it's already expecting a texture to be inserted into it. So we can just bring black background, drop it right there, and we've got this background like that. All right. So that's cool, but that's not what a room usually looks like. And as you saw me trying to do that gradient, we're going to make a little room inside of here for our buddy to be inside, all right? So what we're going to do for that is we'll come back over to Photoshop or whatever you got. You could do this, you can totally do this in MS Paint too. So what we're going to do here is we're going to start by adding a layer, all right? And then we'll get the what is this thing called? The rectangle tool. And I guess blue's fine. It really doesn't matter what color it is. Let's just make a room. Let's make a space like what we would want to have in the middle of in the middle of this right here, right? So I think, where are we? Let's go back over to Photoshop. I think that's good. Let's make it, let's make the color a little lighter because blue is too dark. Let's make this like that. Actually, that didn't work at all, huh? Let's do a Control T. Whatever. All right, Control T's got us on transform. I want to make the room just a little bit bigger. Let's bring it in the middle, right like that. Perfect. All right. So now that it's like that and we've got it on transform, we can see, well, let's press enter, or we can press this check up here to accept the transform. And we can see over here, we've got 842 by 466. All right. Pardon me, 824 by 466. So now that we see those numbers right there, we can come over here to File, New, and we can double click the width right here. And we can say 824 right here on the width. And for the height, we'll do 466. Boom. Create it. All right, so we got this new one. Let's unlock it again. Let's double click outside of where the letters are. Go down the gradient. Let's do the gray thing that we did before. Come over here to this side, color. Go down to whatever we want. That's going to be the light side. I think that's cool, light side right there. 9D. Let's copy that. Press OK. Come to the other side. Color, paste it, drop it down to a darker color. That's cool right there. Okay, go into the middle when you see the little pointer. Do that. Let's go to the color. Let's bring it up here in the middle of 9D in this one. So 9D's over here. Let's go right there. That's fine. Okay. And while we're at it, let's you see these little diamonds in the middle. Let's make sure you go over this where the cursor is, move this. It really doesn't matter. Look, it's just a little professional touch. It doesn't really matter where you put it. Just put it somewhere. Click the middle one. Get this diamond right here. Move it around. I really can't tell the difference, but boom, let's do that. Okay, and that's the first part of the gradient. The next part of the gradient, we're going to choose the style, okay? We're going to leave it on linear, but if you want to go through this, you can double click this one. Don't like double click it. Or I mean, I guess you could double click it, and then you can use the arrow key to go down. You can see the radial angle, reflected, diamond. We're just going to use linear on this one. Let's choose an angle we want this thing at. So over here, actually, I want the dark side over in this corner over here. But also, I don't want it so much dark. So let's bring the scale and make it a little bit bigger. Give it that nice little professional touch. We can see just a little bit of stripage in there. Let's get this method. The only one that you can really tell the difference on is stripe. When you double click this, you can see stripe is definitely different. But if you just go through it, I think I'm just going to put it on perceptual right here. Okay. And then after we're on that, we can come up here to blend mode, and we're going to drop it one because you can explore all these if you feel like it. Let's go to dissolve. That's the one I want to use. And the thing with dissolve is when we bring it down to 99, you can see it gives us a little bit of that noise. It looks like the rocks that is in concrete, you know, and now we've got a real nice concrete floor going on. So let's say okay on that. Let's say file, export. Quick export is PNG. Let's make a new folder. All right. And this one, let's say flooring. So later we can change it for whatever, you know, whenever we go to different houses and stuff. So let's say flooring right there. And then let's call this one concrete floor. Concrete space floor. Just like that, and boom. Let's come back over to Godot. You can see we've got flooring in here. We've got that. And what we want to do now is get this concrete floor onto here. So for that, what we want to do is get a static body 2D. So let's go over to TextureRect, press Control A, ST, and that's just going to get us to static body 2D. So this is one of the physics bodies. So like there's static body 2D, there's rigid body 2D, and then there's character body 2D. All right, so we're using static body, and we have the same collision problem on this one. But first, let's get the sprite on there. Let's say Control A on static body. Let's just grab sprite 2D right here, create it, and let's grab a concrete floor and drop it right here in sprite 2D. We see we've got our concrete floor right now. Let's put it right in the middle. All right, let's do a little F6 to run it, just to look at what it looks like anyway. So we've got texture. No. Yes, let's change TextureRect to background. The background scene like that. All right, and let's what are we doing? Let's run it with F6. Save it, and you can see we've got a little concrete floor for our icon to be standing on, or whatever we want to say. All right, so let's get out of that. So now after that, what we need to do is deal with this collision shape thing. All right, so we can't use what physics. Oh yeah, we got to say Control A and toss this thing in there with toss the little collision shape in there. All right, create that. So for the shape on this one, we can't just use rectangle shape because it'll do exactly what we have for this one. It'll make this a solid thing where nothing can get in there, right? That is the outer perimeter. So if we were to do that, the rectangle collision shape on this one, it would make this a solid thing that we could never get into, right? Can't do that. That's not our thing right here. So what we're going to do for this instead is we're going to highlight static body 2D. We're going to come over here to no, pardon me. Let's stay on collision shape. We'll come over here to empty. We'll drop this thing down, and what we'll do is new segment shape 2D. So we'll make a line segment. So let's do that. Let's zoom in a little bit. All right. Drag it over like this a little bit. All right. There we go. How about that? And then let's move this up just a little because for now we can do that. All right. So let's go back to collision shape. You see we got 2 dots right here, just like when we had the dots for the body, for the static body, or what the player body thing. This thing, collision shape 2D. So we're going to grab one of them and we're going to drag this thing to the corner of the rectangle like that. We'll get the other one and we'll drop it to this corner down here. All right. So now we've got one little barrier, one little fence right there. So now we're going to make 3 more collision shape 2Ds. So let's make Control A, collision shape, press enter. Let's go back up here. Control A, enter. One more time. Control A, enter. All right. We have to do this like this. We can't just duplicate it or it'll link them all together. I don't know how to do it the duplicate style. This is the way that works so far. All right. So let's get this one. Let's come over to empty line segment. Right there, new segment shape. Let's get one of the dots. Let's put it in this corner right here and let's bring it to this other corner over here. All right. So let's go to this next one. Let's say new segment. Let's drag one dot to this bottom corner and drop it to the other one. We'll fix up the actual spot this thing needs to be in a little bit. So just bring it over here and let's get this one. And we will say line segment, new segment shape, and we'll bring this one to this side, to this top right corner and the bottom right corner, just like that. All right, so that's 4 right there. We can see 1 side, 2 side, 3 side, 4 side, just like that. So let's go ahead and zoom in. Let's drag this thing over here. All right. And let's select the first one. All right. Let's make sure this is touching right here in the corner. And let's get the second one down. And let's make sure it's touching right in the corner. Every single one of these corners is going to have two corresponding line segment ends. So let's come down to the next one. And this one's going to be the bottom one. No. This one's going to be the middle 2. So let's get this one right here. Drag it right here to the corner. Get this other middle one. No. Let's get the first one. Drag it to the corner. All right. So now let's go over to this corner. This one's going to be the last one. Let's drag this to the corner. And the other one? Okay, so the second to last one as well. Let's make sure it's perfectly in the corner. Boom. And then let's go to this corner right here. And we'll get this one, the second one. And the last one. All right, let's grab the last one. And that's almost good enough, but there, that's great enough. All right. So now that we got that, let's back on out. And so when we run it, let's do a little F6. It looks like this, but let's bring this back down to the middle. Because remember we had to bring the rectangle up a little bit. So let's get to this static body 2D and let's do the little thing where we do the group select. Make sure not to get the background. Make sure it's static body 2D, so it's just this part right here. Let's do the group, and then let's move it right here in the middle. Boom. All right. Let's see if that looks good. A little too far down. Right here. Looks fantastic. Looks fantastic. All right. And so now that we've got that taken care of, we can keep it like that. What we got to do now is make the main scene, grouping both of these things together so we can run it with F5. All right. So let's start with the plus right here. Let's save this background. Let's save it. Control S. Let's do the plus over here. And remember, for the main scene, all we need is a 2D scene. All right. So we got node 2D right here. Let's get the little link. Let's say shift on background so it selects them both. Let's say open, and we've got both of them on here like this. We want background behind the player. All right, so we got that right there. And if we run it, it says no main scene. We're running it with F5, by the way. No main scene has been defined. Select one. We're going to select current because we're on node right now. So we'll save node 2D. Actually, let's back up, cancel. Let's call this main. Main, enter. Let's do F5 one more time. Select current. Press enter on main.textScene. Actually, let's go inside scenes. Save it like that, and there we go. Let's get background.textScene and put it inside of scenes as well. There we go. We don't have any scripts yet, so it's all structure at this point. All right, so now when we press F5 and run it, we've got this right here. We can't move it with the arrows or anything. We don't have any scripts involved, but at least it's inside of here, right? So now let's get this thing moving, okay? And for that, just a second. For that, what we want to do, we're at 26 minutes. We're fine. We got plenty of time. For that, what we want to do is throw a script on it. Let's go to player. Let's toss a script on the thing. Boom. We're going to use the character body 2D template. It's already selected. So let's just push create as usual. And we can see we've got all this code right here. And you know what this is going to do? This is going to make us fall down right there, and we can move left and right with the arrow keys and press space to jump. And so now we are trapped in a side scroller, but we're trying to make it top down here. But right now it's a side scroller, all right? So we've got that. Let's close the thing with F8. And now, how are we going to make it how are we going to make it a top down? Well, remember, we did do a top down with the other one, right? Basically, we had up, down, left, and right capability in the one where we were dodging the creeps. Okay. So for what we're going to do here, we'll go over to Google. We'll go over to Godot Docs. We'll come down to getting started. Our first 2D game, contents, coding the player. Right. So this one, we're going to have to come down here to the script, all right? And so we've got the script right here. Also, we have to do this as well, but let's get the script in there first. So we've got this script right here. So the part of this we're going to need is this, the little directions, up, down, left, and right. And then we're also going to need this velocity right here. So we don't need the animated sprite part, but we do need when velocity.length is greater than 0, we need to normalize it for the diagonal movement, remember? So let's just highlight this right here from speed up to right under the func. Let's copy that, bring it over here to Godot, and let's take everything except we're going to keep moving slide. We need that. But we're going to get rid of everything else just like this. We'll take it from all of 23 to all of 9, drop it off like that, all right? So right now it says identifier speed is not declared in the current scope. That's because speed up here is capital. We'll copy that, we'll drop this, and boom, that thing goes away. So when we come over here to F5, we can see it doesn't work. Well, it'll work in a little bit. We're going to make this thing work, okay? Let's press X. Debugger, 2000 problems. What's the problem with that? Physics property move right doesn't exist. Do we mean UI right? We probably do, but we're going to actually change these up anyway. So let's come over here to project like we did in the tutorial. We'll go to project settings. We'll go to input map, and we're going to change. We're going to add all these inputs: move right, move left, move down, move up in there. We could have had UI, but whatever. We'll just do move anyway. Move, underscore up. We'll start with that one because it's easier to manipulate by doing Control A, Control C. I'm running out of steam. You can hear it already. But whatever, no big deal. Control A, Control C to copy. Actually, never mind. Press Control V like that. It should have been in here. Let's press X on this one. Should have been in there. Press Enter. So now we've got move up. Let's do Control V, backspace, backspace. Let's do down. Enter. Control V, backspace, backspace, left. Enter. Control V, backspace, backspace, right. Enter. All right. So let's go to the first one. Let's say plus. We're going to say up is W. All right. Okay. Down, we'll have S. We'll say okay. We'll do left, A, okay. Right, D, okay. And now we got W, okay. So now let's go F5. Let's press S. Let's press A. Okay, so it's not working. Anyway, whatever. Let's come over to the debugger, see what the problem is. Data, never used in the function. All right, that's not a big deal. But local variable velocity is shadowing an already declared property. So this velocity is a property of physics process. So let's get rid of this var right here. Let's actually drop this down and drop this down. Make it look a little more professional. And now let's do F5. Ooh, look at that. Oh, and then would you look at this? We are not going anywhere further left than that. We're not going anywhere higher than that. We can see we're kissing the wall the whole time. And wouldn't you know it? So now we've got an icon trapped in a room. We've been doing this for 32 minutes. We could go for another 10, but I don't have any more material prepared. So we're at this part right here, looking pretty cool. We're trapped in a room. We got to make a door somewhere. We got to make some windows to look out of and make a little scene that we could look outside and make a scene that we can see when we do a cutscene and blah, blah, blah. We can do anything we want, but right after this, what we're going to do is make an actual body, an actual character body, that we can throw clothes on and whatever so that we can sell microtransactions, right? Exactly. Because you know what? We got to eat. We have to eat food or we can't make games. And we can't get food unless we get money. And we can't get money unless we do microtransactions or sell our products, right? That's part of life. So now we're at this part. Let's drop this down quite a few so that we know that right here we've got a note for ourselves for next time. And we're going to create a character body in Photoshop. Is Photoshop, what do we do? Hold on. Photoshop. Oh, it's not capitalized. All right, let's go back over here and let's come back over here and let's not do a camel case or Pascal case, whatever you want to call it. Photoshop like that. Looks fantastic. A little Control S to save it. So there's that, and we'll see you next time.